I think at this stage we're probably at third or fourth best side. Probably the fourth, I'd say, because Hales Lakes did knock us off. So, I think it probably right now I'd reckon 4 or 6 goals behind the top two.
Dave, I know you weren't there last year, but where has the improvement come from for Westmeadows? Because obviously not really in contention last year, and in recent history, obviously, it's been a pretty lean stretch for the Tigers. So being as improved as the club has been so far this year, what do you put it down to? What have you tried to bring into the group to be more competitive in what is a very hotly contested Division 1? Yeah,
it's probably a combination between a few things, like obviously on field and probably off field as well. The structure of everything is probably very different to what it's been over the last few years, from in terms of the executive committee to the coaching staff to even the playing list. So it's probably something that you can't really compare to recent years because everything is so different.
The recent transfer clearance window has been open, and not too many clubs have been super active, but Westmeadows has been one club that's got a couple of new additions coming in. They popped up on the EDFL website yesterday morning. Aaron Ramsey, a name very familiar to people both at Westmeadows and also Keilor around the EDFL, a name that we've seen plenty of in EDFL circles in the past. It's a big capture, but you've also got a name there, Luke Wilson, arriving as well. Dave, what can you tell us about these new arrivals and why the club decided to seek these guys out during the clearance window?
It's the right time and the right place. I spoke to Willow in the pre-season, obviously before the season started, and we made a bit of a move at trying to get Luke down to the club then. Obviously Aaron is an ex-Westmeadows junior back from, I haven't been at the club now for probably 10 or 11 years, but we sort of had touch base with him as well, and that they'd obviously both committed at that stage up the bush. So, look, it would have been right time, right place, and some stuff went down in Rochester that didn't work out. And there was an opportunity for the boys to jump on board with us, and Luke's actually just bought a house in Westmeadows, and there's obviously a family connection with Aaron and his family are in Westmeadows as well. So it was just one of those things, right time, right place type of thing.
Dave, obviously the bye today. How will you be spending your Saturday afternoon? There are a couple of obviously big games. Are you going to be in Craigieburn watching next week's opponents? Sort of where are you going to be today?
Yeah, it's 2 birds with one stone, the Craigieburn and Taylor's Lakes game, so I'll head down there shortly, and we've actually got Craigieburn the week after, so I'll head down there and watch for a half, and then head back. We've got Glenroy the week after that, and they're only in Tullamarine, so I might even try to sneak a quarter in there as well, and have a look at the sort of next 2 or 3 weeks.
Let's talk about some of your players that are in the team. Basman Abdul Wahed's probably been in the most times this year, but you've more or less had an even spread of guys popping up. I see Mitch Church has been a forward for you, kicking goals. You got the likes of Daniel Wilcox, Shane Barry, Daniel Caligari, someone who was part of the preliminary final team in 2010, still going at the club, and the ruckman Osman Alouche has been in the best a few times as well. How would you assess your team's individuals' performances? For instance, would you hazard a guess at who's winning the best and fairest at this halfway point of the year?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, actually. We had this conversation last night with a few of the boys at our ball, and look, Basie's been fairly consistent through most of the weeks. She's been fairly consistent as well, and Shane Barry and Wilcox have been a little bit up and down. Osman Alouche is probably the main one. I think if he has a good game, it's normally a sort of best on ground game, and if he has an average game, it's still relatively sort of top 6 or 7. So he's been probably the standard, I would say, at this point. And underneath that, Robbie Moulton's been really consistent as well, coming back from Pascoe Vale. So that's what we've been able to do. We don't really have to rely on 2 or 3 players like happened in the last few years when you've got your Jack Fendons and Timmy Okins and Andrew McLean, and if those guys don't perform, then it leaves a fairly good goal for them.
Dave, how about the depth at the moment? Westmeadows on top of the ladder in the reserves as we go later and deeper into the season. Obviously, that's when depth can get tested. That's when blokes get tired, and obviously injuries can start taking their toll as well. How are you guys going at the moment, I suppose, in terms of health of the list, but also some of that depth that might be coming through as well that you might have to call upon later in the season, especially if you're still right in the thick of it come as we push towards September?
Yeah, look, I spoke this disadvantage of not playing for 2 weeks is that you can potentially lose a little bit of momentum and things like that. It probably came at a really good time for us. Obviously, 2 poor losses. It's sort of just probably given us a little bit of time away to take a breath and reassess. And the other thing that it's done is it's obviously freshened everybody up. And I would say against Taylor's Lakes, we'd have probably every single player on the list available except one. I think most weeks we've sort of had 5, 6 out. So yeah, that'll be really important. I think the reserves will have up to 7 changes coming in for Taylor's Lakes, and that was to a side that beat Tullamarine in a pretty much top of the table clash in the twos, and the 7 guys that will come in will be all in the mix to play senior footy.
And our perception of the division right now is that it's still a really close battle between yourselves, Taylor's Lakes, potentially Glenroy, potentially even Hadfield and Hillside going for the top 4. But how have you assessed the top 2? Would you dare to tell us which one you believe may be the stronger out of West Coburg and Tullamarine?
It's tricky. I think they're both obviously very, very good sides. They've both got probably their own strengths and weaknesses as well. I think in terms of if you're not on your game against Tullamarine, I think they're probably one side that can chop you up pretty badly with their they probably spread their midfield out a little bit more, and they spread really well, and they attack hard. They've got some big key forwards. So they're one side that if you're not on your game can chop you up really, really quickly. And West Coburg are just really even all over the ground. They apart from obviously the Fidax and Robbie Hudson and Marwin, they're probably really even underneath that. Their bottom 6 would be better than everyone else's bottom 6. So they're another sort of challenge. They're probably a little bit more inside than Tullamarine, but they're both very good sides. So,
Dave, what separates West Coburg and Tullamarine from the pack at the moment, and how do clubs like yours try and peg that back as the season goes on? Because I suppose from an outsider looking in right now, it really does look like they are the 2 standouts, and then there's some daylight between your club and some of those others that are around the mark at the moment. How wide is that gap at the moment, and how can it be pegged back?
Yeah, look, it's probably not as wide as as it probably looks ladder-wise. Like I know, like Taylor's Lakes had both Tullamarine and West Coburg in really good positions at 3/4 time. And even us when we played Tullamarine, we lost by 10 goals, but collectively in 2 of the quarters we actually outscored them 11 goals to 4. And I think that's what's broke those 2 sides is just probably their consistency in the game. Like they don't have those bad patches or those bad periods. And I think the sides underneath are probably still trying to fight for a little bit of consistency in the game. So like even with us, we can have a really good game, but there's still parts of the game that we're not good enough. And the really good sides like the West Coburg and Tullamarine were hurting in that period where when we're sort of all fighting against each other, we probably don't hurt each other in those periods when we're poor in parts of the game, if that makes sense.
Well, it does make sense, and look, we wish you all the best bridging the gap and also preparing your team for some of those crucial 8-point games in the back half of the season. Enjoy the weekend off and some of the scouting, Dave. Thanks for giving us your time on EDFL Preview this afternoon, and we look forward to seeing a Westmeadows game in the near future with the call team. Thanks for your time.
Cheers, guys. Have a good day.
We've got that 4th spot at the moment in Killer Park, Moonee Valley, which should turn out to be a good game. Hopefully they, hit their straps and just see who ends up sharing 4th spot with us in the next week or so.
Matty Adem, Saricaoglu here, mate. Congratulations on your win on the Queen's Birthday public holiday and also being 4th place at the moment, mate. But I've got to ask off the top, is the F word allowed in this interview today? Is it being whispered around the corridors at Jacana Footy Club at the moment?
Oh, mate, it is at the moment. We're just sort of taking it week by week and trying to keep the boys composed as they can be. Look, I'll put it to them that, we have to play our best football and be competitive and just get a consistent spread of boys on the track and throughout Saturday game day. And we'll see what happens once, that end of the year comes.
Well, I suppose the thing is, either way, no matter how the season ends up panning out, it must be great for the footy club, though, to be a lot more competitive than it has in recent years. I know you're in your 2nd year in charge now, and before you arrived, it was obviously a very, very dark and lean stretch for the Jacana Footy Club, but it's good to see that the club has come good. I mean, you're starting to get some wins on the board and being more competitive against some of the clubs that might have touched you up a year or 2 ago. So obviously, regardless of whether you can perhaps sneak into the finals or not, you must be at least proud of the fact that Jacana Footy Club is now a much more competitive unit.
Oh yeah, look, we are, mate. We to be sitting 4 and 5 after 9 rounds, the club hasn't been there. I don't think for the last probably 8 to 9 years, and it was a bit of a downer, and it was it'd been going for the boys for so long. But they've got back on the winners list, and the camaraderie of the playing group and off field as well. The momentum we've got, we just hopefully can push along and get a couple of more wins on the board, and just be a bit consistent. We're just working on consistency so far. There's just too much of a gap in between. But from where we were to where we are now, mate, I'm a life member down the club, and I love the club, and it's just great to see that we're back to where we were 8 or 9 years ago, which is playing some good footy and doing the right things on and off the track.
Matt, one thing I've noticed about your side is that you've really rotated the squad. You've used 43 senior players in the ones this season. A number of them only got the one game, but has that been something that's been forced by injuries or by player unavailability, or has it just been a bit of a long process working out your best 22?
It's been hard, mate. We recruited 5 from Diggers Rest last year, and with 3 of them going down within the first 3 rounds with season injuries. We're sort of trying to get our backline structure and blokes to fit that, which has been hard, and we've got the depth, which just throwing blokes here, there and everywhere, which is not good on team stability, but we're sort of trying to get a little bit stable now and get the best fit side for the second half of the year. It's been a bit of a tough one, but most of the injuries are coming back. We've lost, like I said, our Caton, Brad Cunningham and Josh Robinson, all to season injuries, which were a big hurt, but the other boys have rallied around and they've seem to still be getting the job done, which is good. And
one question we asked our earlier guest, Dave Connell, is at the halfway point of the season, who do you think would be leading your best and fairest? Because looking at your squad list, Brian Bell and Ash Clooney have been in the best most weeks, but then no one's been in the best more than 3 times through the course of the season. So who would you actually say are some of your individual standouts to the halfway point of the year?
Oh, look, mate, you hit the nail on the head there. With Brian Bell's always consistent in the ruck. Same as Ash Clooney, probably Josh Robinson up until he got injured. He was consistent as an on baller. Nick Evans is starting to hit his straps down forward, kicking a few goals here and there, which is good. Matthew Solano's another one where he just battles all day for you. So, look, at the halfway point of the year, it's going to be tight. Look, I don't think I can make a call on who would be in front or who's on them, but it's probably 5, 6, 7 players maybe at this stage, which is good for the club anyway. And
as we mentioned, you're in a bit of a 3-team battle with Moonee Valley and Keilor Park for 4th spot, but how did you assess East Sunbury? Because I guess we, the commentary team, were up there watching them beat Burnside Heights a couple of weeks ago, and they had 2 good key forwards. Their back line looked a little bit shaky, and I think the fact you guys kicked such a big score might have been reflective of that. But how do you see the 2 new boys in the division, and are they at a stage yet where you suspect that they might be able to beat one of the established teams, or do you still think that we're some time away before East Sunbury or Burnside Heights will be able to beat anyone other than each other?
Look, at this stage, Burnside, obviously, they're a new club to the competition and whatever, and they're a really young side. They've got a lot of drive in their fit, which we sort of were a little bit surprised with them. But East Sunbury, in that regard, they've improved a hell of a lot. They've knocked their scores back week after week, I think, from getting absolutely trounced. But they have, got some good on ballers, some good forwards, and I think personally, East Sunbury might be able to stick one here and there towards the end of the year, but just depends, if they're on the day or not. But there's stages there that the young boys from East Sunbury do look not too bad of an outfit.
Matty, how about your mob, mates? Obviously, like I mentioned before, it's been a very lean stretch for the Jacana Footy Club, but looks like it's starting to come around now, and you guys are becoming a bit more competitive. You look back at a club relatively close geographically to Jacana in Greenvale. Look, going back 20, 25 years ago, Greenvale were a bit of a basket case, and now it's obviously well documented just how successful Greenvale have been in recent years. I mean, can Jacana look at a club, a rise of a club like Greenvale, perhaps even your Avondale Heights, who were playing Division 1 footy not so long ago, and now they're really up there? can Jacana become a force in the next decade or so, and what's it going to take? I mean, obviously the club culture and the vibe is really good down there at the moment, and something you can really build on. But sort of, what's your take on what's it going to take for Jacana to perhaps become a force in the future?
Look, personally, you never say never, and I'm a big believer that we're on the right track at this stage going forward. Look, it's very realistic. It's not going to happen overnight, but, you know, you look at 5-6 years down the track, we keep going the way they're going and rebuilding and attracting players to the club and keep going along the right paths with the right people involved. That, you know, there's no doubt that we can get back to where we were when, obviously, we're in a Riddle district and run a flag from there, then come across to the Essendon district. It's just, you know, these times when you're rebuilding, that you've got to stick together, and everyone's got to have their heart at the right place, and they have at the moment. So yeah, I'm wrapped.
And you've got a pretty important run in the near future once you come back from this weekend off. East Keilor at home, and then Keilor Park at Keilor Park, Burnside Heights at Jacana, and then Roxburgh Park at Lakeside Drive, and that's followed by the big showdown, Moonee Valley at Jacana. So some very important games in the next month. How do you feel as though you're preparing the squad, and what are you actually going to be doing during the weekend off? Will you scout? Will you call the boys in for a different sort of training plan, or what's actually the approach that you're taking to having the weekend without a game?
Today I'll be obviously go and have a look at East Keilor as we've got them next week. We've sort of done a little bit of extra work on the track, and with the second half of the year, we've got Chris Johnson for about another 5, I think, which his input and experience, you know, helps me out as a coach in the playing group, which, you know, we're working on a couple of things at the moment to move ahead and forward in the prestigious end of the year. So, yeah, we're doing work on the track, and there'll be a few of the boys go down today and watch East Keilor, our next opponent, next week.
And just before we let you go, Matt, one that's got nothing to do with your club, but just your perceptions as an opposition coach. Who do you think is the premiership favourite? Would you say it's Roxburgh Park, or based on what you saw against East Keilor, would you say that maybe they've got a little bit extra up their sleeve for finals?
Mate, East Keilor and Roxburgh Park are very good sides. I've got a totally different opinion on the whole best side, and I think Coburg, mate, will be maybe a little bit of a surprise. They're a really, really good side. We played them a couple of weeks ago, and they're starting to hit their straps, mate. That's who I think best side is in the 4 at the moment, away from Roxy and East Keilor.
Oh, that's why we get the guests on, because Matt, you're obviously coaching against them. We're doing it off the scores and off the bests, and it's great to get that level of insight, and I wish you all the best for going out and scouting today and preparing the team for that match against East Keilor. Good luck for the rest of the season, and it's great to see Jacana up in the top 4 at the moment, and as we've been hearing, Chris Johnson committed to play a number of games in the second half of the season, which must be pretty exciting. So we thank you for your time, and all the best later today.
Thanks, guys.
Here with we had a goal in plan. We had we knew what we needed to do to win the game. We just had to make sure we executed it, and I thought we did pretty well.
Marcus, congratulations, mate. I thought it was a brilliant performance in the end. They kicked the first 2 goals of the game. What were your thoughts at that stage, and how are you sort of feeling about the rest of the game?
Look, they kicked the first 2 goals because what we spoke about before the game we didn't do, and we just knew if we got back on to what we wanted to do, and a couple of guys were playing a couple of roles for us that they were a bit weren't too sure of what they were doing, but then once we fixed that up, Clark and Jensen were very good in that first half, playing their role, and once we worked it out, we were able to put pressure on the scoreboard. You
did suffer a major setback with Angus going off. I mean, the incident happened right in front of us, and I don't want to tip anyone in, but it wasn't a footballing act that had him ruled out for the day. I mean, have you got any thoughts on the incident that saw him have to leave the ground?
It happened over here, so I didn't see it. But look, we probably knew that those kind of acts were going to be there today because it would have been a hot game. They don't send 3 of their best umpires in the EDFL to a bottom 2 game if the league didn't think something was going to happen. And look, I thought the umpires umpired it pretty well, and any spot fires they put them out. So,
Marcus, I want to talk about the man with the golden hands, Stephen Paulke. He brought down some hangers today, but more importantly, you guys used the ball really well going inside 50. I thought that was a real focal point. The run off half back from Rounds, Monteith, Calvaresi, from Morris, from Cheap, all those guys, Jensen as well. There was just such good support coming off half back. You moved the ball well, and I guess all Steve had to do was take the catch in the end.
Yeah, we probably knew that that was probably their downfall. Their backline was probably going to be shorter than ours. So we knew if, especially out here, the more handballs you do, you run yourself into pressure. We just thought the one handball, one kick today, isolate Bookavars and Paulke. And, we knew that their opponent was going to be very hard to stop. And I think Rocky Ferrara ended up on Paulke's, he's 2 foot small than him. So, it just showed that, everything they tried, it couldn't happen. And, Paulke's a class player, and, we made sure that worked today with isolating him.
And as you mentioned, he's a class player. Another young, classy player is young Mitchell Jensen. I was really impressed with his game today. Talk to us about him.
Yeah, Jono's actually first game back. He's obviously he's on the Footscray's list, and he's been played the first 8 or 9 games there. I just told him to come back and have a bit of a rest to play with us for the next few weeks. And so, it just showed his class and the level he's been playing at a VFL club that's aligned to an AFL club. And, he's a star player. And, hopefully we get him for 1 or 2 more. If not, he goes back to the Bulldogs and, he's done his job, come back with us.
And you've held Northern Saints to their lowest score of the year, and not just by a couple of points, by a few goals. As far as the defensive application, we all know what Jono Morris can do, but what about the defensive unit? Your thoughts on how they performed today?
Yeah, well, our goal today was to keep them under 12 goals, and we knew if we keep them under 12 goals, we'll win the game. We know they've been averaging 101 points for the year, so we knew if it was 12 goals, they're going to give us a chance because their score against is 20 goals against 126 points. So we knew if we keep them under, we'd be able to get them back the other way, and that was our second highest score, I think, for the year, and we knew that it would have happened. We keep them to a lower score, we'll still be able to score the other way. And
4 losses by a kick or less this year. You guys have been luckless, at least until now. How many sleepless nights has it given you, and how many tough sort of team talks and player-initiated or coaching-initiated team talks has there been? And
committee initiated.
How do you get through the rumours, the innuendo, and also just the reality of the situation as well?
Yeah, well, I back myself as a coach, and I back the team as being a side that doesn't deserve the 0-8 tag, and but we've got ourselves in games this year where we probably could have run away with it, but we haven't. So it just hadn't worked. But with the player meetings, club meetings, it's been hard, it's been tough because obviously at the start of the year we put a lot of emphasis on our new recruits and what we wanted a good year, and those 4 games, we win today, that's 5 wins. We're sitting around the fourth or fifth mark, and set ourselves up for the second half of the year, and now we've sort of set ourselves up at the bottom of the ladder, and there's only ways up, and our form's been very good the last 5 or 6 weeks. But take out the Maribyrnong Park game, and so look, we're not a bottom side, and I think we showed that today.
So what was the feeling like in the rooms just then, Marcus? Was it relief, or was it just total ecstasy? Were the boys happy about? Obviously they would have been happy, but was it more relief, or are they really happy to get the win?
For the coaching staff and probably the committee, maybe even the supporters, was relief. But for the players and the players' mates and the reserves guys that were in there, it was ecstatic. They're just wrapped. They really love the club. Even the new guys this year, they've really fitted in well. But we just haven't been winning, and so look, it was relief for us. I can wake up tomorrow and we've won. Where the boys probably look after, they'll know that where they're at, they've got the confidence, and they'll be able to go forward now and have that confidence going in Strathmore next week.
And just lastly, the percentage gets you off the bottom as well. We're at the exact halfway point of the year, and Essendon Doutta Stars are not the bottom team. Does it count for anything, or do you look at the Paco game, the second Marby game, Airport West and Keilor, who you both ran close, and you think it's not about avoiding last, it's about going further up the ladder and as far as you can? Yeah,
well, it's definitely not avoiding last. We don't want to go last, but I really think that we've got a side that can that can challenge any team in the competition. We've got a side that believes in each other and believes they can beat any team in the competition. So I think today showed that. Again, you go back to Northern Saints, they beat one of the premiership favourites 3 weeks ago, I think it was. They were up with 5 minutes to go, I think, last week against Strathmore, week before the long weekend against Strathmore. So they're a class side. So, and we've come today and we've controlled the game after the 5-minute mark and directly to the end. So, we should have the confidence knowing that we've done that. Not many other sides have. Controlled them for the whole game.
Well, Marcus, congratulations on the win. Thanks for giving us your time, and hopefully there are more wins to come. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
We've got Nat Caruso, the Northern Saints playing coach, with us here in the box. Nat, not the result you wanted. Tell us what went wrong out there, and were you guys trying through the game to change the situation?
Yeah, definitely went wrong. We just didn't play Northern Saints brand of footy, and we're too worried about letting the same few do the job, and we just didn't come to play today. The
inaccuracy in front of goal in the second quarter, it really felt like you guys went into the halftime sheds having wasted a good chance to get back into the game. Doutta still took in a 4-goal lead. Was that talked about at halftime, or were there other things you were noticing that were maybe a bit of a higher priority at that point in the game? Yeah, it was definitely talked at halftime. And especially the last couple of weeks, we get the ball inside 50, a lot of times, but just can't kick the goals, and we kick a lot of behinds, and that's something we've got to work on. And
Nat, you got some great offensive attributes. You're a high-scoring side. Defensively, where do you think you guys are at the moment? Is there going to be? Would you think that there'd be more of an emphasis on defence as you move through the season, or do you want to keep playing that attacking style of footy more than anything?
We got a long way to go with our defence, and we've been working hard. Defensive side of the game and training that, but just today it didn't work.
And obviously up forward, you just didn't quite have the structure that allowed you. Stocko got busy, but in the last quarter, and then we also saw that Jed he kicked a goal early on in the game. Who are your big options up there other than Stocko? Who are the guys that you would have expected to float down and kick more goals today?
Stocko is probably the sole. Sole forward. He's been dominating the last few weeks, and he's pretty much the only one actually working hard down there. And we need a few more blokes to step up and start putting pressure on in the forward line. And just lastly, at the halfway point of the season, the percentage Douta's got today has pushed you guys into last. Albeit, had you kicked one more goal, you'd probably still be ahead of them on the ladder. Does that change anything as far as how the club looks at the second half of the season, or do you still just look at Marby, Paco, Douta's the second time, and then anyone that takes you lightly and think there are wins to be had out there? Yeah, we just got to take 1 week at a time. To Douta's credit, they outplayed us today and played really good footy, and we just got to worry about Paco this week and make sure that we come out with the mindset we have been against Abbas and Strathmore. Well, we appreciate you speaking to us after the defeat. All the best for the games in the coming weeks, starting with Paco next week, as you said. And thanks for your time on EDFL Review, Nat. No worries. Nat Caruso, thanks. The Northern Saints coach, joining us in the box after the game. So, Stephen, as we welcome you to the broadcast, congratulations, the breakthrough. It must feel good to finally win.
Yeah, thanks, Nat. Definitely really good. It's been a long time coming. So.
Tell us about the preparation. How much pressure was there at training during the week? And did it really feel like today was a make-or-break game coming in?
In a way, it definitely did. Obviously, we had to get the win, but preparation, we didn't sort of put any pressure on ourselves. Just made sure we had a good couple of training sessions and didn't put too much pressure on it, and prepared well.
Stephen, congratulations, mate. From a personal point, 4 goals, and geez, you gave us commentators something to call today. Some great marks. Is that a focal point of your year today? Has this been a standout game for you as well?
I guess so. It's sort of been building up. I struggled with injuries and missed the first couple of rounds, so it was just about getting fit. So every game, I guess I got a bit more fitness, and it was good today. A bit of a smaller ground as well, so easy to move around. Well, we don't want to deny you the chance to sing the song, so just last one. As far as what this will do for the team this season, where do you go from here? We just want to keep winning, obviously, and make something of the season. Don't know, really.
No.
Just get it every week.
Oh, thank you,
Get
Stephen.
More wins.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
First win of the year. We don't want you to miss singing the song.
you.
Thank you very much. Live with us is our Sporting Globe Player of the Day, Dave Kennedy. We had a few contenders, Stephen Paulke, Brad Langtree among them, but Jono Morris from the Essendon Doutta Stars is our Sporting Globe Player of the Day. So, Jono, congratulations on your own individual performance, but more importantly, how great to finally sing the song after 9 long weeks.
Thank you very much. It was very, very good experience to go in there, having a lot of blokes in the centre of the circle, haven't played in a win yet, so the emotions are high in the rooms and just feels the monkey off the back, and that was very, very exciting.
Jono, congratulations. Just quickly on that, do you know exactly how many blokes it was their first win?
It was at least 7 blokes that were in the circle, so the circle's nearly bigger inside than out.
Congratulations. Well, I spoke to Marcus about this. The first 2 goals that Northern Saints kicked them, and sort of what was going through your mind in the back line?
We know going into the game that they're a highly motivated team, and they rely on motivation, which is hard to stop when it's high. And then getting the first 2, it was paramount that we got the next couple just to calm us and them down, because as I said, they play on motivation.
Yeah, and you had so much support down in the back line. I thought there was a real feature of the game today was the fact that not only were you guys able to restrict Northern Saints to just 11 goals, I think, Tayo, you mentioned one of their lowest for the
their
year.
lowest score of the year. Yeah.
There you go, their lowest score for the year. But the rebound work was quite incredible. The likes of yourself and from, obviously, we looked through the list, Langtree, Cheap, Jensen, also Rounds and Monteith. There was just so many contributors that worked out at halfback. You must have been really happy with that.
It's something we've been working on with our work rate and at training and stuff, and it's really starting to pay off, and the blokes are starting to see the goals that we're setting and achieving them with the work rate coming back, and know that they can get the footy.
You've seen everyone in the league now. I suppose this was the great unknown, having not played Northern Saints yet, and Sacco was a 30-goal forward coming in today, so you held him pretty well one-on-one. He ended up with 4 but 3 in the last quarter once the game was out of question. So what did you set yourself for? Did you have any vision to study, or did you get some reports, or is it just one up, one down, and you go on to the next opponent?
Yeah, he was a bit of an unknown. Like, obviously, in the last month, we've heard he's been in real good form, and knowing not even the size of him, how tall he was, but seeing him in the warm-up, he's good size about him. He moves really well. He's a very, very classy player.
And as far as the pressure that's been on the club, we spoke to Marcus about the player meetings, the coaches' meetings, the committee meetings. What's it been like for you as a player to live through this? And who are the guys at training that are keeping the spirits high and keeping the boys motivated that, just because you're on a losing streak doesn't mean it's going to go on forever?
With the meetings, there have been a few meetings, obviously, behind the scenes, but the good thing is they've all been positive. They've all been really, really positive meetings. There's no name calling, nothing like that. That's the best thing about this club. It's moving forward as one. And the blokes that have come on board, we've had the likes of Lee Tudor, Dan Winkle, Ben Tankard, and Dean Wallace, who's come on recently. Really, their experience is it's priceless, and showing not only the football skill, it's just the mental side of it, how to deal with that, and it's really, the young blokes have really, really enjoyed that.
And 4 losses by a goal or less. We saw one of them against Pascoe Vale, but to think that there's been 3 more since, is that as bad a run as you've been in as a player at any level of footy?
That's the most frustrating, probably 6 weeks I've endured in my football career. It's just knowing that we're good enough to climb the mountains just to get to the peak and getting the rewards. It was just trying to get those 4 points in those tight games. It eats away at you and just makes the week that bit longer.
And John, what about some of these young guys? As I spoke to Marcus about young Mitchell Jensen, I thought he was superb today. You must be really happy to have someone like that come back into the side and have such a big influence. But some of the other younger guys as well in the side, they must give you guys a lot of hope moving forward as well.
Oh, not only on game day with those type of blokes, it's also training. Their enthusiasm. It's really good to feed off them. Blokes like Calvaresi, Jake Brown. As you said, Mitch Jensen, they're very, very quality players and quality people too, and they're willing to learn, and their enthusiasm is second to none.
When you were in the rooms after the game, what was your overriding emotion? Was it relief or was it happiness?
Probably, relief. The monkey's off the back, and we can go into games not fearing to lose, just knowing that we are good enough to win games now, win those tight ones, So if it does come across again, we can climb that mountain and reach the peak.
And are you already starting to think about the sides that you can beat and moving forward and winning, or is it? Do you have other goals that you guys measure yourselves against?
We're not in the position to go from further than week to week. I know it's the old cliche, but obviously the position we're in, we've won one game. We strip that back why we won that game, and we move to the next one and use the positives out of this game and work on the negatives to use last time we played these other teams, what went wrong and how do we combat that to combat these teams coming.
And with a number of new senior guys coming in from other clubs, they're not young men, they're guys that are established footy club people. Has it changed a bit of the culture, or have you, as one of the experienced players among the group, sort of been driving the Doutta Stars culture and trying to bring them into the group? I mean, where is it at as far as those guys feeling at home and being able to express themselves and maybe that being reflected in their football as well?
It was a great mix of, obviously we've got the Doutta Stars culture, which is, I've grown up in it, I love it, I feed off it. And they've brought their own from Sunbury, Geelong, they're all different kind of cultures, and they've put parts into it, and it's all positive. It's made the club a very good place to be in, and for those blokes, they've been here for, you'd say, half a year, because it's not a full year yet, and they love the place, and, they're always around, they're driving functions, they're driving training, so also like they're not passengers, they're here to want success.
Well, we wish you all the best for the second half of the season, Jono. If I can just get a quick photo with the Sporting Globe Player of the Day prize, there's $40 to spend at our sponsor, 690 Mount Alexander Road in Moonee Ponds. I hope that doesn't get you too big a fine. Congratulations and well done on your performance, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Aberfeldy 8-11-59, beaten by Strathmore 16-12-108, and the Strathmore coach Craig Clinnick joins us on the line from Clifton Park. Craig, thanks for joining us on EDFL Review. Hello.
Good afternoon, guys, and great to be with you on this wonderful afternoon.
Well, it was a wonderful afternoon for your team, up by 64 points at three-quarter time, and then in the final quarter, Aberfeldy did a little bit of airbrushing on the margin, but it's plain for all to see, Craig, that your team are contenders, and it must have been a pretty emphatic performance from your boys.
Well, outstanding time, and all the things that we pride ourselves on in terms of the way we want to play footy, we were very good at for 3.5 quarters of the game. We fell away a little bit late, but we were probably restricted having no interchange late. But with that said, credit to Abbas for the fight back. But we did our hard yards through the middle period of the game, or early and through the middle period of the game, and it's a terrific result and well deserved by the guys.
What set up the win? Because as the scores came through, it was pretty clear that you guys were kicking away. Second quarter, it was 5-0, and then third quarter, 7-2. Who were the movers in midfield, and who were the finishers in the forward line?
Third quarter, Todd Grimer kicked 4 in the third, and the rest of the guys were pretty scattered. I think, Winter hit the scoreboard a little bit in his first game back from a hamstring. The midfield's got forward this week to put some pressure on the guys. Nathan Lyon, Adem Yakabuchi back for his first game in 5 weeks was terrific. Andrew Horn pushed forward. He kicked a couple of goals today after a week off against Northern Saints. So look, the midfield were true, but importantly, our back six have held strong for most of the year. We really pride ourselves on choking the opposition up through the midfield, and then the backs winning their one-on-ones. And to their credit today, they were terrific.
And with that win and also Keilor losing to Avondale Heights, it means you're outright second. How important that you make that position your own now and go off hunting Avondale Heights on the top?
Look, I've said since, I think, Dale, when we met at the season launch, and you asked what the expectations were, I was pretty clear in saying that the footy club expects to play finals. To be top 2 after the halfway mark, 7-2 is a great, a great outcome. But with that said, we've still got a lot of stuff we want to work on. Avondale Heights got a 2-game break on us, and we're certainly going to have Abbas and Keilor and Greenvale, probably Airport West, breathing down the throat for spots in the forwards are going to be tight late in the year. We're pleased with them. We've got a game break, and we reset for round 10 next week. And
you mentioned that you did finish a few down on the bench. Any particularly bad news out of the day for your team?
I'd like to think Alex Gorman got a knock on the leg in the second quarter, and he didn't come back on. I'd like to think he'll be right. Had a couple of guys tightening up and cramping. We've got an ankle, but no, I think we'll be pretty much right to go next week. Young Aaron Heppel played in the reserves today, which got through the game pretty well, and he's played the 3 games for now, 2 outstanding games in the seniors, and then an outstanding game in the reserves today. So we're looking to have pretty much a full book to pick from next week.
Well, Craig, it's really sent a message to the rest of the league. Congratulations on the performance, and thanks for calling in and speaking to us on EDFL Review.
Thanks, guys. Do a great job, and I appreciate the kind words, and we'll see you in the second half of the season.